Hello and welcome to another episode of Zero If I Could, where comedians discuss absurd reviews. My name is Raul Zambrana,
I'm Brittany Hersbrand.
I'm Jake Disharoon.
and with us is our guest for this episode, Rui Montilla. Hey, Rui.
What's up, y'all?
Hey.
Hello.
Happy to be here virtually and all that.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that Jake lives in San Diego, I don't know why we don't try to do more in person. I think we just got used to not really having to be around each other.
I mean, it is way more convenient this way, where it's
It's-
just like, I don't got to leave the house. Gas prices are like super high right
Yeah.
now, you know? It is much easier, but we should do.
Well, we
maybe
live
one
together,
live
so we
episode.
can just make Jake waste his gas and come to us. I think would
That's
be
a
the
good
plan.
point.
I think it's fine the way we're doing it, to be honest. I don't know. You think there's a noticeable difference when we're in the room together versus
Well,
Yes.
over?
for one thing, we don't talk over each other as much. That's for sure. But and also, secondly,
Sure.
for whatever reason, people do like it live. People like it live a little bit better usually because Zoom shows are typically kind of like looked down upon a little bit.
It's the palpable energy that you get from the other people that are around you.
Rui, have you ever
Feel
done a Zoom stand up? Did you ever do any of that?
I did. Yeah, I did like 2 or 3 shows that were
How'd you
Zoom
like 'em?
shows. Honestly, I really, for the most part, despise them. But that's also because the last one I did was like so Chocolate Sundays, the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. They had this list for like 100 years long, where it'd be like when I first moved to San Diego and signed up, it was like, hey, in 2021, you're gonna get to come perform on Chocolate Sundays, and this was in 2016. So what ended up happening with the pandemic was they're like, we need to get through some of these scrubs who are gonna come do 3 minutes, and they did these like Zoom shows where you would do like your 3 minutes on the Zoom show, and then they would decide from the Zoom show who's gonna go to the real live thing in Hollywood. And the last Zoom show I did was me just being terrible for 3 minutes on a Zoom show. So I personally hate them now. The first 2 I did, they weren't the worst thing ever, but that last one really made me despise them. I've done none since. So
Well, it ruined your career, it sounds like.
100%, dude. I was really on the way up.
Yeah, that was
I-
definitely your breaking moment.
Yeah, that was
There
gonna
was
be
a
it, dude.
contract at Netflix, and there was a guy holding the paper like this right to the pen, like, as long as he doesn't bomb on this Zoom show,
Bro,
he's
they-
getting a half hour.
Dude, they had,
Oh,
they had a
no.
DJ. Like they had it was like it was honestly it was probably the most lit Zoom show I'd ever done, but I bombed. So like, I'm sour. But I did like a couple of them. But yeah, I do agree though, the in-person riffing, the energy, I think can be a little bit different on a pod for sure.
Yeah.
How can you tell if you bomb in a Zoom show? Like, can you hear the laughter? Do people have their mics on?
A lot of them tell you to keep the mics on, so you hear stuff. But also, what I would say is in this particular show for Chocolate Sundays, they definitely tell people to get in the chat and just like point out if it sucks, dude. Like they go hard, And I didn't get flamed in the chats, like too bad. But when I saw what was happening when it was going good, and it wasn't it wasn't what was happening when I was up. But yeah, I have done some Zoom shows where they do tell the audience like keep your mics on, and you just got to get used to that the laughs are like if they come in like there's going to be a little bit of awkwardness to it, kind of. So yeah, I think I would say this for shows. I'm glad it's over. I did do one with like it was like family and friends. It was like, so every year when it's like my comedy anniversary, like I usually like to have a show or something, like have some moment to like I didn't quit yet, type of thing. And so usually, especially when I was back east, I would like have a show. And with the pandemic, I decided to do it virtually over Zoom. And that one was actually helpful because I almost treated it like a mic. I just did a bunch of material and like was just running through stuff. And the only thing that I ruined was that like I didn't hit record on my, so I could have like went back and like I could turn this into something. And instead it was just my wife being like, oh, some of those bits were solid, the new stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's gone forever. I don't remember any of it. So I have had some up and down experiences with like Zoom comedy, but I will say from like a podcasting standpoint, I think with guests, it's probably a lot easier to like, you can, I think schedule coordinating, it's like, hey, can you be in front of your computer for X amount of time on this day versus like, yo, can you meet me at this place and we're going to film. So I think when I guess factoring guests and everything, I could see it. But I do
Oh, yeah.
100% agree. The energy in person it's a vibe. Like it's
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
But this is way more convenient, for scheduling for sure. Because we used to do it like when it was just me and Brittany, we would schedule 2 guests, and I don't even know how we did it because it's just
I don't
getting 2
know.
people in the
We
same
did that
fucking
like
room.
for a whole
ton.
year.
Yeah, and so I mean, we made it work, but
Once
but
a
this
week.
is way more convenient. But yeah, what's funny is that like with Zoom shows, it's like there'll be like some people will keep their mics on, but those people will be the ones where they have a bunch of shit in the background, like kids just screaming, and they're playing music, and then the people who are supposedly enjoying the show, like say in like on text, they have their mics off, So it's just there was just always a weird dynamic that I hated about stand-up comedy and Zoom.
Or they're putting the laugh emojis that pop up, like the reactions on Zoom. They're throwing those up.
Yeah,
So now you're
that just makes me think you're a liar.
Yeah.
Or they're
My-
mocking.
My wife would always pop into those Zoom shows, and if I had friends and if I did a joke that like offended somebody, she would be like, "Did you notice that so and so turned their camera off when you started doing that joke about like special needs kids?" And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so like my wife
Like a
was
silent protest.
Yeah, my wife was very observant to like some of the side things.
What I was gonna bring up earlier off the pod, I don't think I've brought this up before, but so I've had this podcast with Raul for a while, and then I used to have another podcast with our friend David Zafra, and they would always complain that I am notoriously hard to edit for sound because I'm not talking loud enough, is what they always say, and I'm like, I'm talking just as loud as all of you. I don't know what to tell you, but like this a problem for years. My singing teacher told me that microphones are designed to pick up tones in male voices and not women. And she said there's like a specific microphone you can get that like amplifies female voices in a really nice way, but microphones are designed for men. So it is not my fault.
Like it's the patriarchy.
Yes.
That's that. Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, I think it's just Raul's rampant misogyny. That's the real story here.
Yeah.
That's the headline. Raul hates women.
and Raul is now getting fucked over by the patriarchy. So it's great. Yeah. But she was like, you can buy it. It's like really expensive. And I was like, oh, no, that's not that. That's fine.
Of course, it would be really expensive too. That's nice.
Right.
Mhm.
Are they all pink too? Do they do that? Where
They
it's like
sparkle.
it's the same microphone but pink. You know how they do that with tool sets where it's like it's the same hammer and screwdriver, but they're pink. Have you ever seen that? So they're more expensive.
Mhm. Yes, I have.
The chair I'm sitting in is my wife's like work chair, but she bought this gaming chair, right? And ironically, it's extremely pink. The only reason this thing is up behind me is because our cat tears it up. So literally,
Oh
Oh,
my God.
that's cool.
it's a whole pink
big
gaming chair,
chair.
guys.
Yeah.
We just have it covered because our cat is a climber at times, and so she got tired of him tearing up her chair. But yeah, and she did pay a pretty penny. I'm assuming literally only because this was a pink chair.
Oh,
So
probably.
even female gamers, the patriarchy is just trying to really stick it to them.
Wow.
It is. Yeah, it's
There's
tough
nowhere
out
to
there.
hide. You can't even escape to the fantasy world of Elden Ring without paying extra because you're a woman. It's tragic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about that game, but you guys keep talking about it.
That's right.
What's
Well,
the
you
deal?
guys-
It's the
I keep
it's the
talking about
popular
it.
game right now.
Raul has not played it.
No.
'Cause he's
I'm
he's
too-
kind of a coward.
Well, I'm trying to get into Inscription. So
He's sort of yeah. Have
So,
we mentioned Inscription on the podcast?
Brittany bought me this game that I've been trying to play. Like bought it for me like as a gift, and I've been trying to. It's been since what is it, December? I think it was a Christmas
Yeah,
gift.
because it was a Christmas gift.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh yeah, we're gonna play this game, and I just haven't had a chance to get into it. And
He
but every
plays a-
day,
He-
well,
he-
that's the grind, But every day, our buddy just keeps reminding me, like, so have you played that game yet? And I'm like, tomorrow, just one of those things. So I just can't get to.
Well, it's the thing is, like, I played it probably in November, December, and a group of our other mutual friends played it, and I was raving about it. I was like, this is the greatest game. So Brittany, like a really good friend, knowing that Raul likes video games, she bought him this game that a lot of people enjoy, and she bought it for him for Christmas. Now, listener, you may not know this. It's March 14th today, well past Christmas. Christmas is a distant memory to me. I've already forgotten about Christmas. That is still, Raul's not even installed this game yet. So
No,
not
I
only
installed it.
he's
It's like
He did
it's on
only
there.
because they sent me an email reminder that said that the person that you gifted this to hasn't claimed your gift, and if they don't claim it within the next 7 days, it's gonna like refund my account or something like that.
almost
So then-
So I'm like, oh shit, I better get to it.
Yeah.
That rocks. So he's being rude to Brittany by ignoring her game, and he's being rude to me and all of our friends by ignoring our recommendation for this great game. I don't know what you're doing. What's your problem?
Listen, I just have, I got to put in another 100 hours on Call of Duty before I get to this, because I'm trying to get good.
You're such a bro.
Do you think this game will cause him to yell a lot very angrily?
No, so maybe it's not for him. Maybe he wouldn't
Right.
enjoy it because it's not. It won't make
It doesn't
him
make me
yell.
rage enough.
He won't wake you up in the middle of the night by yelling.
Well,
damn
thankfully,
it.
we have the same sleep schedule, which is where we both go to sleep around 3 a.m. But I can't imagine what you would do, Raul, if I went to sleep at like 10:30 p.m. because it is like 1 or 2 in the morning that he is screaming at the top of his lungs at the game. So like I guess you would just have to not play during those times. That would suck.
Yeah, but luckily I know you're awake at that time, so it's just like, all right, don't have to, I don't have to hold back. So
Yeah.
but that would be, I would try to take that into consideration.
Oh, he would
Rui,
try.
are you much of a gamer?
I'm not much of a gamer. I would say I used to be really into like sports games, like a Madden and like NBA 2K and stuff like that. And then like I just feel like Grand Theft Auto is just something you just gotta clap a few people, you know what I mean, get it off. So you don't do it in real life. You just gotta get that steam off, I guess. But I've eased up on the gaming. So I'm not as into it. My brother, who I'm really close with, he's all about gaming. He plays like Final Fantasy online. And like my brother is like, I give him a lot of shit because like he's an older dude, and I'm just like I'm like figure out your life, but it's crazy because I'll see a different side of him when he games. So like every Saturday and Sunday he has like a group of people that he plays Final Fantasy with, but then I realize he's like the leader of what they do. So like whenever he's on a Saturday or Sunday, he's giving direction. He's like he's literally a boss, dude. And I'm just like, this is your calling, dude. Like, I'm like, I think I should sponsor this kid to just like make it happen as a gamer. But my brother's he's always been into gaming, like all types of stuff and fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, whatever. And I only would really play sports games for the most part. But I was gonna ask, when Raul's yelling and screaming, are we talking full sentences and orders, or are we talking Raul's just cursing at the top of his lungs?
It depends. It's always like, well, no, I'm at my parents' house. So I'm not going to yell it. Just about to. So he's always yelling the F word at the top of his lungs, like in a row, like F, 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 F. And then he's like, go left, go left, go left, go left. Or like something like that. It's like, it's just very short, quick. But I mean, he's giving directions, but it's not eloquent or anything. It's yeah.
Yeah, I do think that when you're gaming, if you're gaming online and you're screaming at things, at least you're screaming at real people. I've been playing NBA 2K just against the PC, and I'm screaming at the refs. You know what I mean? Like it's a real game, and my wife's in the other room, like it's not real. Like calm down. And so at least you're arguing. At least you're yelling at real people when you're gaming online. I'll give you that. It's real people you're dealing with.
Well, your wife's into gaming too, right? She got a pink.
Nah, my wife's just all about reading reviews, and this one was really comfortable. You probably should have her on the pod instead of me, to be honest. But yeah, it had good reviews. It seemed comfortable, so she went for it, and that's why she got the gaming chair. Ironically, really just because she had read reviews and supposedly it was supposed to be really comfy and all that, and she knew she was gonna be sitting down a lot at work. So,
this thing, gaming chairs, it's like the most comfortable. It's like, I play a lot of games, but I still don't like the fact that I own a gaming chair. I would not do that, except for the fact that it's like the most comfortable chair I've ever had. Right? Like you could buy a regular office chair, and that shit sucks, man.
Or you could sit in a lawn chair like me.
Yeah, that would be a good option, I guess. Could you sit in a lawn chair and work for like 8 hours straight?
Well,
she was doing it from her bed, so
yeah,
for like
this would
hours
actually
straight.
be an improvement because I hunch over from my pillow while watching Real Housewives every day, and that's why I don't work from a chair because this chair is not in front of a TV. So, and I'm going to physical therapy because of it. So I really fucked myself over.
That's wild.
Any
Mhm.
consideration to sort of change your workstation, get a desk maybe?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's been
Okay.
consideration.
So that sounds like I've thought about it. I do not want to do it, but I feel like I have to for my health.
I feel like I've been working from the living room more, like on the couch. I don't know how much better that is.
I'm sure it's much better because you
Yeah,
actually
I'm
have like a
sitting
back
upright.
support. Yeah. So I think that's definitely
Absolutely.
an improvement. Rui, we do typically like to ask this of first time guests. Have you ever been reviewed about, or maybe had some harsh criticism?
I haven't, not that I can think of any jobs that I've had. I mean, I work at a university, so I'm sure there's probably something somewhere at a school I've worked at where someone was mad about something or a parent did. I did get an indirect live review recently when I was working at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, and I was making popcorn that day, and someone was walking out afterward, and I was cleaning the machine out, and this lady walked out with her husband, and she was like, "Fucking popcorn sucked." And I was like, she really wanted me to know. So she didn't go to Yelp or anything, but I felt very personally attacked because I'm just opening the bags. You know what I mean? What do you want from me here?
Yeah.
So I'm just,
that popcorn machine at the Comedy Store, you have no control.
I'm pouring, and you know what I mean? It pops. I turn it over. Get me a little salt, flip it around, throw it out there.
Yeah, there's only so much control you have.
There's a
Well, you
place
do,
for
but
the
you-
kernels, and then there's a place for like the canola oil, and that's
That's it.
it. That's all you have control over.
You don't add popcorn salt to a compartment of it?
Nah, it comes to man. I mean, at least our manager's trying to keep things tight. That's all in the mix. This is a one bag operation.
No, yeah, like that oil that comes
Yeah.
on it.
So I got a live review recently on that one where she really didn't like the popcorn. But I've had good reviews too on the popcorn, which I think it just depends how drunk you are when you go to the shows.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and
much how it is.
people like
Popcorn's
different
always
stuff.
the same. That's wild. I think the
Yeah,
popcorn's
it is what it
great.
is. But thank you. I mean, whoever cooked it that night, shout out to them. There's a couple of guys that probably made it worse, but we'll let them be themselves. And remain
Yeah, the Albert
nameless.
Lintons of the world, sure.
But I haven't got too many. I haven't been reviewed that I've caught it. And to be honest, I'm glad because I'm really sensitive. So I don't think I would have took it all that well. I would have been. I probably would have been devastated.
Yeah,
Do
you're
you
still
think-
defensive about this popcorn comment. You had no control over it. That's
To be
really
fair, if I made, because Raul and I worked at a movie theater, when I was working concessions, if somebody told me that they didn't like how I made the popcorn, that would bother me. I would be annoyed by that. But one time I was messing around and I thought it was because we did have a compartment where you put popcorn salt and it like mixes it all together.
Mhm.
And I just thought it was funny to put like 4 cups of it when you were supposed to put like a half. And then some lady came up to me and she was like, "That was the best popcorn I've ever had." And I was like,
I would
mean,
definitely be that person.
oh,
'cause,
me
like,
too. I
the
love
saltier the
salty
better.
Yeah.
Love it.
For
so
sure.
many. I think the problem with popcorn at theaters nowadays very undersalted for sure. So
That's awesome that you put too much salt as a prank, and then someone came up and was like, "You changed my life. Thank you so much."
but the sad
Giving
thing
me a
is,
new lease on life.
she's never gonna get that again. You know,
Absolutely not.
nobody else is gonna put 4 cups of popcorn salt.
No one
in
else is
there.
going to do the Britney special. Yeah.
Yeah, she'd almost be better off never tasting that, because it's like, would you rather never have chocolate in your entire life, or have chocolate one time and then never again?
As someone whose favorite foods often get discontinued, I would have never tried them. You're right.
Which of your favorite foods have been discontinued?
1, blue Pepsi.
Okay.
We talked about this before. I really liked that.
Okay.
2, 3D Dorito jalapeno cheddar flavor.
Mhm.
Those don't exist anymore. 3, the rotisserie chicken from Islands. They got rid of that once. Then they brought it back because so many people complained, and then they got rid of it again. 4, the onion rings from Islands. They got rid of those too. 5, they got rid of the whole Miguel's that had their rotisserie chicken, which was my backup rotisserie chicken to the Islands rotisserie chicken. So a lot of
6,
stuff.
6 soup plantation.
Yeah, and Hometown. I don't know if that exists anymore. And 7, they got rid of most of the submarinas, and there's still one by our house, but that is hanging on by a thread. So
Yeah, I think that might be the sole reason why it's still in business. For how often you go, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I got to be honest. I thought when I asked that, I would get about 5 seconds of you thinking about it.
No, I know you thought I was kidding. I was not kidding.
No, I mean, I knew that you had things in your head, but I didn't. I
Oh,
was
you
not
thought it was
prepared
going to
for
take me some
like
time to pull them all
be
up.
like, let me pull up my spreadsheet real quick and just bang out this list of 7 distinct items that I can think of right now.
Because it hurts.
Clearly, I didn't realize how traumatized you've been by this. I do remember the blue Pepsi. That was really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that was only around when I was like in middle school, which was like the only time when you could actually drink something like that because it was probably 95% sugar. If I had it now, I'm sure I would die. But it was really fucking good when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
That shit rocked.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Submarina so much. I mean, I got in a car accident there the other day. It's like Submarina and McDonald's. I've gotten into car accidents while going there because I just want. I mean, it wasn't Submarina's fault, but yeah.
You know how they say like you typically get into a car accident like a few minutes away from your home? That's
Yeah.
that's your home, you know? That's
Yeah.
where you typically drive to very often.
Yeah. So I just totally my fault. I was pulling into a parking spot from a weird angle and just misjudged it. I thought I had enough room. Didn't. So hit this person's car. I left them a note though. But when I was in Submarina, I was definitely like looking out because I didn't want them to be there while I walked out too. So I like waited for them to be gone.
Sure.
But yeah, it was like messed up my car pretty bad, which I didn't think anything really happened to my car, but $4,000 worth of damage to my car. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
From dinging somebody else while you were parking?
Well, I have an SUV, so usually if I've hit another car before, nothing really happens to my car.
Sure.
But she had an even bigger SUV. So
You
her
finally
car,
met your match.
yeah, her car was like, I don't think if it was just her car, I wouldn't have gone through insurance. I don't think it would have been that much. But then I didn't even bother to look at my car until I left because I was like, it's going to be like a scratch. Nope. I can't even open my passenger door. So
Whoa.
That's
'cause
some real damage for a parking accident.
yeah, it's
Man.
just because it hit the because I almost did have enough room. It hit like the very, very, very side of my car, and it just pushed everything back a little bit. So that's why I can't open the car door. But I'm taking it to get fixed tomorrow. It'll be fine. I got a Submarina. It was good.
I mean, yeah, as long as you got, because that would be the worst part. If all this happened and then you couldn't get, it was closed or something, then that would be
Right.
bullshit, you know. But
That
luckily
would
you
be
did get it.
that would be like if this was like the beginning of Breaking Bad or something to demonstrate how shitty your life is. It would be like you park, you do all this damage to your car, and you're like, son of a bitch, and then you walk to the sandwich shop and it's like permanently closed. Then it's like, okay, well now she has to become a drug lord because this life is obviously not working out for her. You got to make a change and shake things up.
Something would have broken inside of me for sure if that
Absolutely.
happened. But the McDonald's car accident time, after that car accident, my car, it was on the freeway though, but my car shut off and wouldn't start. And then once I finally got it to start, I was still like, well, I'm still going through the drive-through of McDonald's. Like, of course, like, right? Like, I don't have to shut my car off to go there. So it seems pretty safe. Like, I was like, it's going to be for a reason. What am I going to do? Just go home?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can't let the car win
Mhm.
this battle of wills. I mean, as long as you still get the food, I think that's a victory. That's one in
Yeah.
the Brittany column right there.
Rui, have you ever been in a car accident?
Nothing major, just a couple like little fender bender type deals. But I was gonna say I really respect Brittany for finishing the job and getting the food because I'm gonna be honest, the way I get frustrated when things don't really like pan out, I'll just think like it's the universe telling me I ain't supposed to be somewhere or I'm not supposed to go to this place. And I'll be so annoyed that I can't be there because I'm like physically just gonna be like enraged. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Like, so I will back out of things. And I think that the method that Brittany took is actually the better way to go about it, which is get done what you were there to do, see it till the end. And it probably says a lot about me and why I don't finish things. So I'm probably gonna have to talk to a therapist about this. But seriously, I'll get so bent out of shape that I'm like, yeah, I might not even got the McDonald's or the. I would have. Yeah. So I really respect you on that. But I know no major accidents that I can think of off the top of my head. I haven't been anything. Nah, I've been like, yeah, no, just little minor stuff. It was actually pretty low. Like when you think it's gonna be an issue, the other person gets out the car and they're cool, and you're like, oh wow, this is actually smooth. Like I've been lucky in my moments like that.
That's good. Yeah, I think the thing that saved me from being angry or annoyed was that there were a lot of people around, so I was just really embarrassed. And I was trying so hard to find a pen, and it was taking, and I think like a lot of people were looking at me. I think they thought I wasn't going to get out of my car and leave a note. And I was like, it took me like 5 minutes to find a pen in my car. And then I was just really embarrassed. Yeah.
All right, should we get started on some reviews?
Yes, let's do some reviews.
So this is a review for YouTube. 1 star. 1 star is the lowest. Not sure how they got 1.5 stars. Customer working from home allowed kid to take phone, then the dog who could only bark but was more helpful than the rep. Still waiting for phone ordered in October. And then there's a picture attached of a man's middle finger.
Wait,
This is a review for YouTube, you said?
they're waiting for a phone that they ordered in October.
Yep.
So they just come. What do you think they thought this was for?
It's really hard to say.
So
So
they
this
think
review,
they thought it was for Apple, maybe? I don't know.
I really don't know. I mean, YouTube is owned by Google, so maybe it was like a Google phone, like a Pixel or something like that. But
There's no way they could put that together if they don't realize how things get averaged
yeah, you're right.
to make 1.5 stars.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're saying like the company that they think they're reviewing has 1.5 out of 5 stars, which is like, if you see a score that low for any company or product anywhere, that would be the lowest review score I've ever seen. And this guy's like, why isn't it exactly 1.0? Incredible. But then the cherry on top is the photo of his middle finger, because he's doing this very classic old person thing of the picture is framed like this, and then it's just like the lower, like the bottom left 10% of the photo is filled with his middle finger, and everything else is just his roof. It's like every part of it is so perfect. Old guy.
Can you read the first sentence about I don't even know and something with a dog?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I've read it a couple times. Didn't make any sense to me either time, but let's go. Customer working from home allowed kid to take phone, then the dog who could only bark but was more helpful than the rep.
I get it.
You okay?
They
Explain it to us.
called customer service. The customer service rep was working from home. Their kid took their phone, and then all they could hear was the rep's dog barking in the background. But they're saying the dog was even more helpful than the customer service rep, who didn't help me at all. I don't know what their complaint is or what it was about, but that's what that is.
I think you've unlocked it. Yeah, I mean they are missing a couple of words in that sentence to make it sort of
There's a lot missing from that
together. But my favorite part about it is the dog who could only bark. Yeah, bro, that's just called a dog.
No, they watch like Secret Life of Pets, and they're like, no, I know they could talk.
This dog was not helpful at all. I needed answers to questions, and all he did was bark. Bro, this guy rules.
I guess I haven't given much thought to the fact that there's a lot of customer service reps who are legit working at home, like not at, you know what I mean, and like they got kids and all kinds of other stuff going on at the crib. It could be a potential issue.
Yeah.
I mean, well, so many people working at home, and back to me screaming, like a curse word. Sometimes Brittany or my roommates are working, Brittany being one of them, or sometimes it's Stephanie, and I'll have to really tone it down.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm
my
about
cursing.
to call a customer.
Yeah, like she'll have to let me know, like, hey, I'm gonna be, with the client, if you don't mind toning it down.
Knock on his door. And be like,
Yeah.
hey, Raul, I know you like to yell fuck at the top of your lungs. Mommy's gonna make a phone call. So if you could just not to give me 5 minutes and don't do that, that's awesome.
And his response always is like, I'll try my best. It's not even like, yeah, 100%.
I want to be realistic. All right. I cannot
Not
control
even
myself.
You would think, because the answer should be, oh, yes, of course, that's easy for me to do, to not yell fuck. But he's like, all right, look, I'll roll the dice for you, but
We'll see what happens,
can't make any promises.
Yeah, because like doing sales, people are so paranoid that because it's all e-commerce, so we're talking to actual individuals, business to consumer, and they're really paranoid that you're not who you say you are and stuff like that. So even though a lot of people work from home now, and especially over the like height of the pandemic, I feel like if people knew that I was working from home, they're not trying to give me their credit card information. Like it's really gonna freak them out.
Sure.
So yeah, as little as possible. Like I'm like no dogs barking. Like really like have to seclude myself in like a small space with no noise.
I still want to know what was the actual product they were trying to review, and how did they decide that YouTube was who they were reviewing?
Maybe you know
that's
what?
Nuts.
Maybe they like got a YouTube ad for a product and bought it and thought YouTube sold it to them.
Okay, that's a good. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
putting together all the pieces of this one.
You're really getting into the mind of this person who is both old and stupid.
It's because I just saw the Batman, so I am like a detective.
You're the real life Batman, but instead of the
And
Riddler, it's
just some old
the
guy
old man.
doing reviews on YouTube.
Mhm.
But by the way, his middle finger doesn't look like the middle finger of a very old man, but based on everything else about the review, I'm assuming also because this review is not like on the App Store or anything. It's on some website called sitejabber.com, which I've never heard of. So I can only assume that this is only and exclusively
Old
for
person
people who have no idea where to do anything on the internet.
Yeah, because old people are always like, quit your jibber jabbering. So that's like a good website.
Are they like that? They don't say that kind of shit to me because they know.
Well, you don't jibber jabber.
That's what it is.
Jibber jabber.
Brittany, you're on fire right now as far as like the connecting the dots stuff. Like the 3 hours of the Batman really changed your life.
Yeah.
Forget e-commerce and sales, dude. You need a detective for sure. We need to get you in the academy ASAP.
I know. I'm feeling really good about myself right now. So I have a review. This is a continuation from last week, another Seattle review because I only did one. But this is for the Space Needle in Seattle. And it's a 1-star review. And it says, head of security Jack Stroder is a huge jerk. Well, also, I'm going to preface this with my review is much longer than Jake's. So sorry about that.
Mine was like 40 words, so I think that's okay.
Yeah, mine's a small, like a short story. Okay. Head of security Jack Stroder is a huge jerk. Let me explain why. You can freely check out the gift shop area at the floor level of the Space Needle, no tickets or security measures. I heard another guest make a very scary threat about the Space Needle as I was on my way to the security/metal detectors. He didn't sound like he was joking, but even if he was, people do crazy things, especially at high traffic landmarks. There was one security guy at a metal detector who I told what I overheard. I was sure they'd want to know, so maybe they could speak to her, at the very least keep an eye on the person who made the threat. The security guy looked to be right out of high school, but I'm sure they train who they have working security alone at a national landmark, right? Nope. The guy just looked at me, didn't say anything. He just looked freaked out at what I told him. So after a few moments, I offered to wait to speak to a manager who I could voice my concern to, since this guy clearly didn't know. Not his fault, by the way. They either didn't train him or hired someone who in a fight or flight or freeze scenario would likely freeze. Not what you want at the only person visible working security. The store manager came. I explained what happened. He said he would get the head of security to help, Jack Stroder, which sounds like a TV.
Yeah, definitely.
Jack Stroder, Space Needle Security. He radioed in and told him a customer has a concern. Jack came down a few minutes later, a very tall man who stood 6 inches away from me with his arms crossed and legs standing shoulder length apart. No hello, no nothing. I told him what I overheard and prefaced that maybe it was nothing, but just in this case, this is what I heard from someone still in the gift shop. After he said, noted with an attitude. I'm a small woman, so the fact that he was also trying to physically intimidate me with the aggressive body language was so off-putting. He didn't say anything reassuring. He just said noted repeatedly with an attitude. Here's a replay. Jack towers in front of me while staring me down, arms crossed. Me, hi, I just thought I'd be irresponsible if I didn't mention I overheard this person say this thing, which is obviously scary. Jack says nothing. Me, that's what happened. Just thought security should know. Jack, noted. Me, hopefully it's nothing, but it's scary to hear. And if customers don't go through the metal detectors to just go in the gift shop, then who knows what someone could have done. Jack, noted, almost yelling at me now. He didn't make me feel safe. All he had to say was something like, thanks for telling us. I can't explain protocol, but we'll take it from here, or literally anything. But he was approaching me like I was a suspect or inconveniencing him.
Sorry, did it say
Wow.
what the thing she overheard was?
No, which I was so
What
mad
the
about. I'm
fuck?
like, why
Yeah,
are you
what is-
protecting
what
this
is the
guy's
thing?
privacy?
Yeah, that's psychotic. Because that's like, of course, anyone who's going to read that review is going to become invested in your story because you're a great writer. So we need to know what was the MacGuffin in the story? What was the inciting incident that caused all this?
Yeah.
Was it like, hey, I'm thinking about blowing up the Space Needle? And she's like, maybe I should tell security about this. But I like that she's being very generous to the first security guard that she saw. She's like, it's not his fault, they probably didn't train him. But then she's like, someone in a fight or flight or freeze situation would freeze. Like, that's not usually one of the options. So it's just like a very drawn out way of being like, look, it's not his fault. The guy's a pussy. I mean, what can you do? He's born a pussy. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not his fault. He's a little baby. He's only 18 years old. And then she talked to Jack Stroder. Was that the guy's name?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is yes.
That is so sick. So this guy was like ex-military or something. He's just standing 6 inches from her and staring her down while she reports something. Who knows what the actual issue was? And just like, well, it's probably an inside job, is what he's thinking. And she's a distraction. And that's why he's not giving her the time of day.
I feel like
He's
he's like,
smart.
look, I can smell bombs. I'm fucking good at this. There's none in the vicinity. Keep it walking. Noted. I'm actually annoyed because so Steph and I were at the Space Needle and we were in the part where you can buy beer up top. And then I don't know if you guys went, but you can walk down the stairs to the part where they have the glass floor in the restaurant.
I don't think we went. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, they are very on top of telling you can't bring your beer down to that area. So they're very secure about some things. So we had to chug a brand new $13 beer, but some guys walking around planning to shoot up the Space Needle, and Jack Stroder says, noted.
You deal with the problems you think you can solve, right? Like, if somebody's trying to bring a beer down from upstairs, security knows what to do with that. Say, excuse me, ma'am, no beer down here. If a guy's like, I'm an evil scientist and I'm going to turn the Space Needle into a rocket and launch it at the sun, that's kind of up out of this guy's pay grade, right? He's like, I don't know what am I going to do about that? We need a superhero for this one. I'm just an 18-year-old, right?
That's a very good way to look at it, Jake.
Yeah, thank you.
I wonder how long before the review was ultimately pieced together as a short story. I wonder at what point did they become so understanding of the young 18-year-old who would freeze in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at what point in like going through the managers and then getting to the head of security, at what point did you decide, like, you know what the problem is at the Space Needle? Onboarding and training. The issue is if this is the top of, no wonder this guy down here. I just would love to know, you know what I mean? Because you get a review, you don't know at what point they, where they felt things. And I feel like when she got to the end of the road, it changed her perspective on every employee prior to that. And now, like, all this empathy is just oozing into this novel. And it's like, right. I feel it.
She's like, if I was trained by Jack Stroder, I wouldn't know anything either. This guy doesn't seem to be willing to give a lot of information.
Man, that name is fire.
This guy's probably doing his best. What can he say? I mean, all he's getting is noted.
When she said she told the young guy the young security guy, and he just looked really scared. He was probably scared because he knew he was going to have to call for Jack Stroder, and not because he was scared of what the threat was.
Like, oh shit, I have to report this to Jack Stroder.
And he
the
tells me,
scariest man in Washington.
don't call me for anything ever.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, unless you see a bomb and the countdown timer is less than 10, do not call me. If it's 13, I'm going to kick your ass. You better wait until it's an actual emergency before you call me Jack Stroder.
Do you think he changed his name? I bet you he did. That's not his fucking name, right?
Yeah. Well, okay, what do you think his name was? Like,
Yeah, let's go. What's the real name?
Jim Beauregard or something like that?
I bet it's still Jack.
But Jack's kind of a tough.
Yeah.
I'm trying
I mean, I
to
guess
think if Stroder is short for something more foreign, like more German sounding or something.
well, it just could have been like Strodenberg.
I mean, it's
yeah,
sure.
something
you
like
know,
that.
yeah. But he's like, nah, I'm gonna shorten it up. It's gonna be a badass Jack Stroder.
Yeah, maybe it was like Stroder Muffin, something like that.
Okay.
He was like, well, if I'm gonna get into security, I gotta make some changes in my life.
Do you guys ever have like someone you meet and that's like your favorite name you've ever heard? Does that ever happen to you? Because I have one, for example. I met a
Oh.
guy named Rory Draxler.
Whoa.
Great name. And he was a cool ass dude too. Rory
That's cool.
Draxler. Fuck.
That rocks.
God damn. That was a good
Yeah, that
name.
is that's lyrical.
I do feel like I had one that I met or saw the other day, but now I can't think of it. I usually like names with like McAllister or something that just sounds very like rich and white, I guess. I'm like, oh, that's so fancy. They definitely have a picket fence or something.
I do have one. It was a guy that I guess I went to like high school with. I never met, but it always sounded like a 90s action movie where the villain is like a drug lord, and the name was Vic Coda.
That's good.
Pretty good. Vic
That's
Coda. Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, I'm like blanking on every person I've ever met and what their names are. I don't know any.
Yeah, those are all solid. Like those are like strong names. It would definitely be like in a movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like movie names. Those are strong.
Rory Draxler.
It automatically.
So good.
One summer when I was in grad school, I worked I had interned at this school in Milwaukee. So I was in Wisconsin for a summer. And I was there, and they had this thing called the North American Indigenous Games. And we were hosting this. So we hosted a bunch of conferences and camps. And it was basically like the Olympics, but for Native American tribes from reservations all throughout North America. And we had to make all the key packets and get the room set up. So I saw a lot of kids whose names were like Quick Fox, Strong Bear. You know what I mean?
That's
So like,
Yeah.
as soon as we started talking about names, I just started thinking back to all these kids. And yeah, they were wild. That was a wild time in Milwaukee. That was like the most fun they had, I think, in a minute. But they were just there, and everyone was so racist about it. Everyone was like, "Were they just like doing archery and stuff?" And I,
That didn't even occur to me.
oh, it occurred to the white folk I worked with out in Wisconsin, and I was like, "No, they're playing basketball." Like it was just like a bunch of kids playing like art. Like automatically, they went to like any outdoorsy type shit. Do they have to build like tents and stuff? Like
No, they live in this time too. We're not going back to like 1660 and then doing like, well, what are you guys already good at? Then it's like, well, archery. But
oh man, I was like, that was the first thing. Cool, man. We're just jumping straight to the archery. All right. So all the Native American
really
kids
funny.
brought their bow and arrows to camp this summer.
That's awesome.
It's just a Native American kid named like, you know what I mean? Silver Fox. He looks older than he is, and he's just shooting arrows in his Air Jordans. Like, what are we doing?
That's cool because that's like a very specific racist stereotype that I don't think I've heard before.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, Native Americans are all really good at archery. Because it's like you got like, oh, black people are good at basketball or whatever. That's like a class. I've heard that a million times.
I mean, they are.
But you don't get a lot of novel and new racist stereotypes.
Oh man, white people can be racist about anything. Just
Dude.
I know,
leave it to
They're
us.
the best.
What black people are to basketball, white people are to being racist. We're
Yes.
just the best at it. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of it that couple of weeks. Man, somebody got we had to go up to one of the apartments because there was these kids. Like the building we ran was like right off of a freeway, like next to a freeway, basically. And like it was a tall building, and they were throwing toilet paper out of their window and like down onto like the street below, and it could have ended up like on the freeway. And then one of the dudes I worked with started making like TP jokes, and I was like, "We're not doing this. We're not doing the Native American kid and TP jokes. You're gonna knock it off right now, Trevor. We're not doing this at 3 a.m. while we're dealing with 12-year-old Native American kids."
Of course, it was Trevor.
Yep.
Yeah, that's some Trevor ass shit right there.
Trevor shit.
I thought of the coolest name I've ever heard.
Oh, let's hear it.
Excited.
It's Carlos Zambrano.
Okay, that's my
What's
brother,
happening?
by the way.
Oh, that's what's happening.
That's
It felt personal when it came off.
It's like the coolest name I've ever heard.
it's pretty good. Also, a pitcher for the
That's
Cubs
pretty neat.
shares that name, and so
Yes.
and growing up, a lot of people would be like, "Are you related to Carlos Zambrano?" And like, yeah, And then I didn't realize until I got older that most of those people meant the pitcher for the Cubs because they were like, "Oh my God, really? That's crazy!" And I was
Because
just like,
they didn't realize Zambrano was like a
Right,
last name
common
that
sense.
several people have.
yeah.
Wow.
And so,
Dude, how cool did you think your brother was?
oh, dude, I mean, he's a cool guy, but
Yeah,
people
but
were so wildly impressed, and I'm like, man, my brother is a popular ass dude.
Well, he
you know?
played professional. He was a professional video game player, so
That's
I'm
true.
sure
Yeah.
he probably thought.
Oh,
They were like,
Oh, but
wait,
this
the
was
guy
this was pre
Carlos
Oh.
Zambrano, the Magic the Gathering player? Carlos Zambrano?
stop it.
You're like, yeah. That's my
That's
brother.
my
What can
brother.
I
the one
say?
and only Havoc. Yeah, that's the gamer tag.
That's lit.
All
I
right,
want to do a
Jake.
review here.
Oh, it's your turn.
I'll do one.
Oh,
No,
you didn't even do
no.
one. Jake, no,
Yeah.
Jake. Let's hear from you again, please.
I'm fine with that.
I'm out. I'm out. I got one left.
It was a quick review for Harvard University.
Ooh, okay.
It's a 2-star review. It says, meh. It's a school, I guess. Not a good one or a bad one, but I spent 4 years there and can earnestly say it's not time wasted or gained, just an experience. Most of the time I was there was all right. I had one friend named Scott, but I doubt we'll keep in touch since after reflecting on our time together, he and Harvard were both nothing special, which I think is a
Was
very
this written by a Trevor?
maybe, I don't know.
That is pretty harsh towards Scott. This guy was your
Scott,
friend.
yeah, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah,
What
He's
did
like,
he
I had
do?
one friend only, and he was like,
Nothing special.
Whatever.
This
Yeah,
guy's like
4
the
years.
Harvard of people. Like, what? And that's an insult to you. I mean, the idea of like, I got a 4-year degree from Harvard, and I don't feel like I necessarily wasted my time. It's like, bro, the fact that like everything else in the world aside, you have a degree from Harvard. Your life is different because of that.
Yes.
Right? It's not like I still wound up, I was the regional manager at Taco Bell. It's not like, no, you had a pretty successful life, I'm sure. And you don't realize how much of that success is tied to the fact that people saw Harvard on your resume, you fucking asshole.
And I'm sure some of his success was thanks to Scott,
Absolutely. Scott probably hooked him up with a job.
Yeah.
Scott's probably like his skull and bones friend.
Mhm. Yeah, and he didn't pay to go to Harvard because he would have mentioned the price of how much the school cost and wasn't
Right.
worth the money. Like his parents paid for him to go to Harvard, and he's like, "Eh."
It's
Now,
fine.
do you think this review was written by Donald Trump? Because he did go to Harvard, I think. And in his case, I guess I would say didn't really matter in the end. That's not what he was
Nah,
already
but
like,
if
born.
it was Trump, he wouldn't have been so mad. He would have been so down the middle. He would have literally told you how there was good people on both sides. Like
That's true.
He would have been like some teachers. Like he would have went all the way with it. I will say I'm not shocked at this type of review so I work at UC San Diego, And I find that the smarter the students are academically, just the more dumb they are as people in general, like with day-to-day stuff. So they're just oblivious to real life shit. And so I could see someone literally being like, it was all right, like, and just not getting it at all. Like they're like that here a lot of times with stuff. Like you'll meet these students and you'll talk to them and you're just like, oh, you just don't get anything outside of that robot you made in your engineering class, bro. Like, and it's just scary because you're like, you're gonna like work for the government and design weapons to kill people. And you're not gonna feel any way about it because you, my friend, don't have any people skills. Like,
Yeah.
I see it all the time. Like, I have students that are like, they want to be doctors and like literally can't hold a conversation. And I'm like, yo, you better just be a surgeon that's going to walk in and slice and dice. Because if you're going to be a regular doctor that has to talk to someone and ask questions, I don't want to see you.
You cannot deal with the patients while they're awake.
Don't be an oncologist.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense with how he talked about his one and only friend, and he was nothing special. Just disposable, this person.
He was your one friend at Harvard.
I would rather somebody say really mean things about me than say, she was nothing special.
Yeah, if he was like, oh, Scott was a total asshole. It's like, oh my God, they had a falling out. I wonder what happened. But for him to just be like, yeah, he was like disposable. He was just like.
Makes me question if they were more than friends.
Oh.
Makes me question if there was a little something else going on with them and Scotty.
What do you think, Detective Brittany?
So here's what's happening. Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe somebody in his life is accusing him of having been gay in college, right? Nothing wrong with that. A lot of people experiment.
You don't need to clarify that, but go on.
Yeah, you do. I think you do need to clarify everything nowadays.
Okay.
So people have been saying that's like a rumor that's going around, right? So then he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write this review about Harvard and about how it's nothing special. There was nothing to talk about, nothing of interest during that time. Not even my friend Scott was cool. I'm not even going to keep in contact with him. And then he's going to be like, look, guys, why would I have written this review a long time ago about Harvard and how it was so uninteresting if all of this crazy stuff went down?
And notice I didn't mention the size of Scott's dick at all in this review. So
notice
there
that
you
all
go.
I talked about was getting in between books and not Scott's cheeks. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even talk about his butt cheeks once. I don't know. It's weird because I feel like when you do that to people, you're trying to hurt their feelings. You know what I mean? Like you're trying. Like he wants. Like he doesn't care if Harvard reads this review. He cares if Scott reads this review.
Yeah, Harvard.
This review is for Scott.
100%, dude.
Yeah, he was only writing this because there's no way for him to review Scott anywhere. There's no Yelp section for people.
And Scott can't even reply on this because only Harvard can reply.
And here's the thing: if Scott was a better friend, maybe there would be somewhere to review him. But he's, he's all right. He's average, normal guy.
Yeah.
Does this have the reviewer's full name? Like, if Scott read it, would he be like, "I'm that Scott"?
I'm gonna get Scott.
It does say Dylan E. So
Dylan, of course, that's another one
from
of those
Los
names.
Angeles.
Wait, hold on. This changes it a little bit. So he's an LA kid, goes all the way to the East Coast to go.
Yeah, like having to start over and make new friends and like be the one person.
Winters for the first time, and you're just meh. You're like, no, whatever, not good or not bad. You didn't even talk about the weather.
Yeah, I mean, this guy probably writes for The Simpsons right now as well. He's like, Harvard didn't really help me that much. I'd be in this exact position no matter what, writing for The Simpsons. Fuck this guy. Fuck you, Dylan.
Let's do at least one more review, and then maybe we'll close out.
Okay. This is a review for Tinder. So this person mentions a specific person by name in the review. I'm going to just call the person Kelly. That's not their real name. Okay, this is 2 stars.
Kelly wouldn't suck my dick after our date. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, just
apparently.
No, sort of.
Okay.
Kelly is marked as 24 years old. That's the title. Just letting you know, she will lie about her age. 5 years difference. Born 1991. Creepy as hell. Would be most would be most in her animals then and not love the person the right way. Instead, you will get her roommates after you for some stupidity like things you say to her will be repeated like a parrot toward her roommates and her best friend, Jenna, aka Drama Queen, will tell Seith. Then Seith, by the way, it's not Seth, it's Seith. Then Seith will come up, cause a fight. Got the fake person picture too, because Tinder isn't doing anything, then I will. Screw you, Tinder, for having a trap set on me. Didn't even verify the person in correct manner.
So this
and
is
then-
another one we're gonna have to detective together because
It's really, and then there's a products used section underneath this, and it says, isn't a product, it's a dating website where you will get screw oven. So screwed over is what they were trying to say instead of
Screw oven.
I like
Also-
that though. I'm gonna be like, are you trying to screw oven me? That's gonna be like my new thing.
So I mean, here's what I know about this situation. There's a woman named Kelly.
Mhm.
This person, Michael, thinks that she is older than 24. But
Well, if she
is-
was born in 1991, yeah.
if she is born in 1991, then she is lying about her age. But I have no way of knowing if she was lying. Would be most okay, I'm going to try to read this without inflection. Would be most in her animals then and not love the person the right way. Instead, you will get her roommates after you for some stupidity like things you say, and then it just goes on and on. Would be most in her animals.
Is into her animals more like her
You think
pets.
She's more into her
To her
dogs
pets?
than loving the person.
She's more
with.
into her animals, yeah, and not love.
It's like
Okay.
like Brittany has a dog Ender, and she was like seeing somebody, and this guy felt like he was competing with her dog.
Well, yeah.
Was that
because-
Michael S? That
Yeah. Well, because at the time, my dog would get really pissed off if like somebody hugged me or anything beyond that for sure. So my dog would get mad, and yeah, it was a little bit of a inconvenience, but he's better about that now. He was
I do want to say real quick, I got to give a quick shout out to the fact that all the previous pods I've watched, Raul does have a really solid way of constantly just bringing up Brittany's real life stuff in the middle.
That's so funny that you noticed that, because
this is a very strong theme I'm catching now. Like he's like, and Brittany had a boyfriend who was like Raul, man,
you know,
stick to
if there's
brand,
things
bro.
that are related, I like to, you know, like here's this little nugget that I remember about my host life. that I like to-
it's yeah, but it seems like about 10% of the time it's about you. 80% of the time it's about Brittany. Maybe 10% of the time it's about me. But it's like
It's so
very
wild.
rarely. Oh, this reminds me of something that happened in my life. Like,
Brittany's lived a
Oh.
life. That's the thing.
I guess I have a secret that I could share about Brittany in public. So here we go.
yeah. I mean, even with everything he said, I think I've only asked him to cut like one thing ever.
What was that?
And I don't even remember what it was. I know there was one thing,
There was one thing, yeah, I don't remember what it was.
and I was like, we can't do it. Was
I
probably
think
something
it's. I just want to
about
say, I
work.
think it's fun. I like the vibe. I think it's. You know, to me, it makes it fun because it's clear there's real. You know, you see a lot of pods. Is people don't really know each other. They just, you know what I mean. They just jump on and do the thing. I like that it happens, but I just, as it was happening in my head, I was just like, wow, this does happen in more than just a couple apps. This is real life.
It's sort of the theme of the show.
Right.
Back to
It's
Kelly.
just
and her-
how many
Kelly and the
you know,
dog,
personal
though.
things can I divulge about?
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I mean,
but
I'm not
the point I was
embarrassed
making-
that my dog
Right.
loves me that much.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
But
That's
no,
nice.
but what I'm getting to is that this
Great
guy
job.
feels the same way as the person that you were seeing at the time, where he feels that he's competing with their animals. With
No, I did think about it. Yeah, but
but-
I don't understand where her roommate coming in causing trouble.
I think maybe
Uh,
my favorite part of this is he has this super long run-on sentence about like, oh, she loves her animals more than people. She's always gossiping to her roommates. She's always telling them your little secrets. And then one standalone sentence is, "Will tell Seif." Like, bro, is that a pre-existing character that I should be? Is this like a dark god that she worships? Seath. He'll complain to Seath about you. He'll curse you. You go to hell after you die. It's like very, very ominous. And Seath is not a name.
Seath is probably Jenna's boyfriend, maybe.
Like okay.
Oh,
because
okay.
Jenna is always complaining about Michael.
Kelly.
She's a
Kelly tells her roommate Jenna.
Yes.
And then Jenna will tell Seath.
And then Seath will fight him.
Said Jenna's a drama queen, right? Something like
Jenna,
that.
Yeah, Jenna, aka drama queen.
Yeah, telling Seath, her
then
boyfriend,
Seath will come up, cause a fight.
Yes, that's
got
what
the
I
fake person picture too.
What do you mean a fake person picture?
Well, I think he means he was like he's saying he was catfish.
She's catfish, yeah.
Well, it seems like he stayed involved with her for quite a long time, despite being catfish.
I think it's back to Brittany's original point: is that she didn't suck his dick.
That's right.
He was trying. He was.
If she did, you think this review would exist right now?
That's what I'm saying. I think, but I also think that's why he was hanging around. He was waiting to see if it was gonna happen.
He would have put up with. He would have put up with the dog, the age difference, Jenna, Seath, all of it.
Look, we've all got Seaths we got to put up with, right? Everybody's got a Seath in their life, but you just deal with it.
Well, mine's named Jake, but yeah.
What the fuck? Whoa. But okay, yeah. So if he's trying to imply that he was catfished, that's a legitimate complaint, right? Somebody uses a different photo for who they are. That's fair. But if you meet them and you're in a relationship with them long enough to have an opinion about their roommate's boyfriend, Seath, you've passed the point where it's just like, oh, I can't believe this person catfished me. It's like you saw the real article and you decided to go along anyway. That's on you. That's on you.
I do always enjoy that someone like reviews something, like for example Tinder as a service, but this is really just, I guess this was more about a person.
It's a review of his relationship.
Well, he did say that Tinder didn't verify anything about them, so I guess
that. How much verification does Tinder do?
I don't know. I know on some of them you as a person can go the extra step to verify that your photos are real. I don't know if you like send them a picture of your ID or something. I have no idea. So if he wanted to, he could just not match with people that aren't verified. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he could have. Yeah, it sounds like he reported this to Tinder in some way. Tinder isn't doing anything. So if you report them for catfishing and they don't take it down, like, okay, that's legit. It's a fair complaint. But I mean, I saw the pictures, which I'm not going to share with anyone, but she doesn't look 24 to me.
Does she look 29?
No.
Or what would she be? 30? She'd be 30.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she could have been born in 1991. I don't know, but if he saw the photo and was like, "Oh, she's 24," it's like, okay, so you were just willing. That's
on
believe.
You, bro. Yeah,
your heart took you to that place where you were willing to believe anything she said, which is fine, no judgment. But like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I've never partaken in Tinder because I've been like married for so long and shit. Like, but I feel like at the end of the day with Tinder, there's some user error involved here, dude. Like you can't just put it all on the app that you can't figure it out. Like you got Catfish Buddy and you just kept hanging out with Seath and the crew, you know, like that's on you.
I've also seen like reviews for dating apps complaining that they got STDs, you know.
Hey,
so.
yo.
Yeah, I mean that's a caveat emptor right there. Like, buyer beware. If you use an app to have sex and then you have sex and you get an STD, I mean you're just rolling the dice like that, and sometimes it comes up snake eyes. What can you do?
Imagine getting an STD and then you get beat up by Seath after the fact. That's a lot.
That's too much.
Now you're writing 2-star reviews about Tinder. That's what's happening.
That would be too much.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's one thing to have Seath coming after you, but an STD as well, like that's just a 1-2 punch that I wouldn't be able to handle.
And
anybody been catfished?
No, I don't really go on dates though. So maybe if I went on more, it would have happened, but not really. I do know people who have been, and it's driven me nuts because they didn't really say anything about it. or like leave or get mad. And I feel like if I went, like, I think they kind of felt bad saying something. And I'm like, if I went on a date with a guy and he was way older than his pictures or something where he was clearly lying, I would be like, fuck you, bro, you're fucking weird. And I would leave. Like, I would not in any way feel obligated to continue on with that date at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a line, right? Like somebody has maybe some slightly older photos where they think they look better. Like, okay, everybody does that to a certain extent. But if you get there and you're like, okay, so that was like a totally different lady in your pictures, and you not even the same race as them, so I don't know what you thought this was going to happen.
Or this was 30 years ago.
Yeah. So, then I think like, I don't know how you could not bring it up. I mean, I get people don't like confrontation, but I would just be like, so.
I just feel like it'd be
What's
so
up?
much easier to get caught like nowadays, like with just the way like communication is, and like back in the day, like I could see it. Like I think the original Catfish stuff came out like in like 2010 or 11 or something like that. So like back in the early mid 2000s, like things were weird. There was like the Wild West, but you getting catfished in 22, dude. Like you getting catfished during the pandemic? That's nuts.
It's a known move now. When catfishing was first invented with that movie, it was like a novel idea. Like, oh my God, this person used fake pictures of themselves on the internet to trick a younger person into falling in love with them. That's insane. I can't believe that. Now it's just like, it's probably like 40% of all dating profile.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, so this is completely fake, or it's a porn bot or whatever. It just happens. But I'm very curious. I would love to interview someone who is doing the catfishing. If you're just catfishing because you want like somebody to have like a weird online romance with you, then it's like, okay, I get what the payoff is there. But if it's like, I'm using these clearly fake pictures of a different person, and then I want to meet up with them, like, what do you think they're gonna meet you and be like, hey, you're a lot uglier than I thought. But you're going to charm them so much that it'll overcome. Is that the thought process, I guess?
I think it's like playing the odds, like how guys will hit on a bunch of girls in bars and say something gross. And for every 45 girls who are like, you get the fuck away from me, there's one girl maybe who's like, oh, thanks. So I think it's like that mindset. Where he's like,
but it's just
I'm sure
the amount of effort though that takes to catfish. Though it just seems like a lot of effort for a numbers game. But yeah, but then again, maybe they're just throwing it everywhere all day. You know?
Yeah, it seems like easier to have some gross pickup line that you give to 45 women in a bar. That's very low stakes because it's like worst thing that happens is they, throw a drink in your face or whatever, and then you have to leave. But with catfishing, it's a long relationship. Then your account gets banned. Maybe you put money into it. It's like a lot.
Yeah, the catfish thing is a long game. Have you guys watched the Tinder Swindler? Have you guys already talked about this?
No, I haven't watched it.
I haven't seen it. Yeah,
you haven't seen it? All right. So real quick, this dude was a real guy, right? Who played these girls. And so I feel like that's one thing is like if you can find a way to be whoever you are, even if you're lying about your real life, as long as you're actually the face that they said, you can get away with a lot of shit as long as you make somebody like you enough. You can play people because they're like, hey, this is him. And you can get away with other fake shit as long as your face is you. That's why the catfish thing is nuts when it's like not even your pictures. It's like, what do you think you're pulling off at the end? You got to really make them fall madly in love with you to like get over the fact that you're a dude.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you have this weird amount of confidence in yourself of like, my personality is so incredible that if I can just get in the room with these women or men or whatever, they will fall in love with me. But also my confidence is so bad that I can't use a real picture of me because it will drive them away immediately. It's like, all right, maybe try speed dating then, right?
Yeah.
Where you're face to face, but you get to spend, 5 minutes with these people, and they're like, oh, you know what? He's not that cute. Because this is like, if you're a guy who's dating women, not being super hot is an overcomable hurdle, right? Like if you have a good personality, I hear you can still meet girls who are into you, but if you do it this way, it doesn't seem like it's gonna lead to anything
I agree.
good ever.
If ugly is your problem, dude, that's totally manageable. Because there's enough shitty dudes out there that ruined enough women that someone's gonna be looking for someone who's just a decent person. So you can overcome the ugly thing, but you ain't about to overcome ugly and you're a fucking liar. Like that's a lot of work now. You're trying to overcome a lot of things at that point. But
yes, ugly and nice, hot and a liar. You can make both of those work, but you can't. Yeah.
Right.
You can't
be
up.
both. You cannot be an ugly liar and have it work out. If you're a hot liar, you're set, right?
Yeah.
But
and in my opinion, you also can't be hot and nice. I'm not down with that.
It's something wrong with you, right?
What?
No, I feel it's like if they're hot and nice, something's wrong. Like now you're trying to figure out what the problem is. You go
right. It's like, okay, you were ugly as a child and you learn to develop a personality.
Yeah, you automatically got to see baby pictures. Were you a fat kid? Like you got to know how did they get to this point. You got to
like if you're hot and nice. Okay, why aren't you a senator or something then? What's why haven't you accomplished all your life's goals?
I'm sure.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, I'm sure guys have thought that I was catfishing them because I refuse to talk on the phone and I will not video chat with them. Like I'm not doing it. So, and those are like the key signs that you see on all of the catfish TV shows where they're like, bro, they're obviously catfishing you if they won't talk to you on the phone, but I just won't do it.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why you have to, every day you update your Tinder profile with a picture of you holding today's newspaper.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, all right, she won't get on a video call, but
I've seen on those shows people have done that to people. They've sent pictures and they've just photoshopped them. I mean, but they can reverse Google image search me. They can do that.
Yeah.
They'll see I'm real.
And hopefully this podcast will come up. And then
we
have a new listener.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, we should start wrapping up here. Ruis, is there anything you want to plug before we sign off?
No, honestly, I just want to say this is a lot of fun, and I think that reviewing things is good. So even though these are a lot of really sus reviews, it's good to review things because people learn stuff. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but my wife was a secret shopper back. She hasn't done it in a couple of years. So I used to spend a lot of time out with my wife doing secret shops where we'd have to pay attention to stuff people were doing and review how things went. And I think that this is it's fun because there are reviews that are trash and that are really bad. But honestly, if people didn't review things, how would we know? And so I just want to say thanks to y'all for letting me hang in your space and on all that stuff. And someday I'll be funny enough to have things to plug.
So you would give the concept of reviewing things 5 stars.
100%. I definitely think it's definitely useful. Honestly, reviewing things in writing, doing YouTube video reviews. I mean, to watch some of those are some of the worst reviews, and it's way worse because you lose time of your real life because you watch these idiots review like a carnival cruise that you're gonna go on. That's my life right now. As me and my wife prep for like a family vacation. I'm like, what's cracking on this ship? And as soon as the vlog starts, I automatically think this idiot has 40,000 views. I could do this.
Yeah, I my former roommate told me that he once watched a 4-hour review of a video game called Fallout 4, and he never bought the game, never played it, had no interest in buying it, but he watched a 4-hour review of it. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, you're an informed consumer. I got to say that.
I think reviews are really helpful. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're good. So even the bad ones, they're look at bad reviews. Boom, you got a fun podcast. You know what I mean? Like look
That's
at that.
Right.
It's the universe gives. But yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
thanks for doing it.
Of course, thanks for doing it. Please do follow us on Instagram at Zero If I Could Podcast. You can also pitch into our Patreon at patreon.com/Zero If I Could, and you can follow me personally at Raul Z Comedy. Brittany, where can they find you?
At Bitchney H.
Follow Brittany at Bitchney H. Any last parting thoughts, Jake?
Just I'm going to reiterate: if we get to $100 a month on the Patreon, we'll purchase, download, and play a porno game, and we will review it on the show. So, if that's something you care about, first of all, you're a fucking freak, and I don't understand you at all. But second of all, hit up the Patreon and chip in a couple bucks.
Alrighty, that has been our show. Thank you again for listening, and thank you to our guest Ruis Montilla. That's been our show. Goodbye.
Bye.